Beverly Zeimet Show. Discovering you. Rewiring the brain. Rebuilding confidence. And harmonizing with nature. With over 4 decades of changing lives, your self-discovery archaeologist, get ready to be the best of you with your host, Beverly Zeimet.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the Beverly Zeimet Show, where being the best you has just gotten easier. My guest today is Mary D, and she's calling in from sunny Ensenada, California. I'm so jealous. I'm sitting here in Colorado in snow and cold.
As you can see, the sunshine is behind me. It's going to be a beautiful day, and I'm ready to celebrate.
Hello everyone, and
Well, you know what?
to
Go down to the
Beverly
ocean,
Zeimet Show, where
soak up
being
some
the best
ions,
you
and send them my
has
way.
just gotten easier.
You got it.
My
All
guest
right.
today
Oh,
is
I'm so
Mary
excited.
D,
All right.
and she's calling in from sunny
So,
Ensenada,
Mary, what is
California.
it that
I'm so
you
jealous.
do
I'm
that you can share with the audience, that's going to help them fit into what this show is all about, helping them become that best them?
I love that. So what I will say is I really am a fan of having a morning routine and what I call it the wake up routine and the wind down routine. So whatever you do in between, that's up to you. But I really feel like grounding yourself in the day, waking up, being intentional. Movement is sometimes good. Everyone's a little bit different in terms of what really energizes them. For me, it's good music that's uplifting and soulful, and that just gets my cells jumping around inside and gets my hips moving. For some people, it might be exercise. It might be running a couple miles. It might be going to a class. It might be doing something a little more mellow, like a yoga or meditation in the morning. Whatever that thing is for you, do that thing. That little bit of self-care and that little bit of setting an intention for the day really helps you ground, helps you go into the day strong. And then the same at the end of the day, having that time before you go to bed to really prepare your body and to thank your body for the day, to thank your mind for the day, to reflect on the day, and to say, okay, great, like, what are my gratitudes? What am I most grateful for today? And then how do we also take some deep breaths before we go to bed and say, great, we've closed out this day very intentionally. That way, if the day was rough, we can go, whew, this was a rough day, but you know what? We're going to close it out, and tomorrow we begin again. And I feel like that is intentional living, and that is a healthy habit. And it's also one of those habits that, again, grounds you into each day and gives you lots of purpose for how you're going to spend the day. And purpose doesn't have to be building spaceships and going to the moon. Purpose can be, taking care of your loved ones. It can be taking care of your children. It can be, selling virtual reality platforms.
Oh, there you go. Now you're talking.
Yes, and maybe some of those days are just self-care days, and that's okay too. So I think that, sometimes people go, oh, I have to wake up and I have to hustle and move through every day, and I've got to be striving all the time. And so my biggest message for people would be that, hey, like, every day doesn't have to be a strive. Every day doesn't have to be that hustle mentality. Like, we can really choose how we want our day to go about, and we can choose how we want to attract the right things into our life. Do we want to work hard? Okay, if that makes you feel good, if that's what makes you at the end of the day go, ooh, hard work feels fulfilling for me, go for it. But for some people, that's not the case. I'm raising my hand. I like when things are in flow and they show up. And I believe that, from a human design standpoint, that's what happens in my world, and that feels really good. And it feels good to find that space that's right for you and acknowledge that sometimes that space is different for someone else, and that's okay.
Oh, Very well said. You know, it is so true, because a lot of times we think
for it.
we have to
But for
always
some
be
people,
doing
that's not the
something for
case,
someone else, right?
I'm raising my hand.
And
You know,
I
I
know
like
one
when
thing.
things are
You
in
cannot
flow
give to
and
someone
they show
else
up.
more than what you
And I
give to
believe that
yourself.
from human design
So
standpoint,
don't
that's
cut
what,
yourself
what
short.
happens in my
Take
world,
care of
and
yourself.
that feels really good. That's right. That's
Right.
right.
Feels
I work good with so to many find that entrepreneurs space that that's are, right for you you know, and they're acknowledge high that achieving sometimes and they're that so space is used different to for someone else. doing all the things, and
Oh,
sometimes they're
very well
really
said. You know, it
disconnected
is
from
so
the
true, because a lot of
organization, or
times
they're,
we
they're
think
running out of gas.
we have to
and they're
always
like,
be
oh,
doing
how do I
something for
advance
someone
things?
else,
And it's like,
right?
I'm raising my hand.
And
You know, I like it
me
when
too.
things are
You
in
cannot give
flow
to
and
someone
they show
else
up,
more
and
than what you give
it's
to yourself.
watching your energy.
So
you know,
don't
if, like I
cut-
said, if running is your thing and it actually gives you energy, and it's that time that you get to like clear your mind and sort of think through things, don't rob yourself of that hour of that self-care, because it allows you to charge your own battery. Otherwise, you're showing up at this. Think about a cell phone, right? If it's always on a half battery, it always seems to suck faster that energy when it's on that half battery. But if we take time, to plug it in and we fully charge, then we can show up in our
Right.
fullest, best way. And now we can really give, and we can do what we need to do, and we can show up with this clear mind ready to go, versus this half dragging battery of like, oh.
Okay, well, speaking about half dragon, adjust your mic a little bit, because when you knocked it off through the excitement,
Uh-oh.
there we go. Now
How
I can
about
hear you
now?
better. There you go.
My bad.
No, you're great. It's
Thanks,
like,
Beverly.
you know, it's that excitement, but it's so true. You know, how do you fill your battery? And I work a lot with different healers and massage therapists and hands-on Reiki and things like that, where they are so depleted after they've worked with one or two of their clients. They're just like exhausted. And it's like, what are you doing to replenish, like you said, your own battery?
Right.
You know, why are you putting your physical energy out into, you know, the person that you're working on, and then you're taking all of their garbage on you? So I started doing some workshops, just little mini training classes on how to protect yourself, you know, when you are doing, you know, Reiki or massage or any type of healing work like that, so that you're not taking that person's stuff onto you, because all thought is magnetic, right? And then what you can do to start bringing in the energies of the universe to keep your battery full all the time. So one of the biggest questions I always get asked is, Beverly, I don't care what time of day or night I see you. You're just like all over the charts. What the hell? You know, how do you just stay energized all the time? I said, because I open up to the universe and I bring the energy in, and I consistently have the energy feeding me, right? So I don't burn up my energy. It's an overabundance in the universe,
That's right.
and it's there for the taking, and it says, here I am, come and get me. Because if
That's
you
right.
don't utilize it, it gets stagnant.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Right?
I think one of the best activities that I know I do for myself, and it works great for friends, family, others that I've met, is literally taking off your shoes, going out into the dirt or into the grass and putting your feet, letting yourself ground for a while. I do it when I get off of a plane. It's one of the very first things I do to just reconnect with the earth, you know. And some people will say, Mary, I'm in Arizona. We have rocks and concrete.
That's okay.
You know? And it's like, that's okay. You know what we can do? We can go outside and we can pet a cactus. We can come inside and we can, you know, touch the leaves of the fiddle fig. We can, you know, whatever plant we need to do, and we can just really ground into the earth, and just spending that little bit of time to offload any energy that you shouldn't have, and welcome in the good energy that, you know, you're ready to conquer the day, and you're ready to replenish your own battery. Then that's, I think, one of the other like great things people can do for themselves that I don't know that we do enough. We do it as kids inadvertently, right?
Yes.
We don't want to wear our shoes, run around in the yard. And it's like, where did we get to be so adult that we forgot like the beauty of the childlike wonder and the smart things we did as a kid without realizing it, because we were just being our authentic selves.
Oh my gosh, that is so true. And I'm still like, I don't like wearing shoes, right?
Same.
I don't. there's so many times that especially in the summertime, I head out the door and I get in the car and it's like, oh crap, I don't have my shoes. I gotta go back in because they won't let you go in the store. No shirt, no shoes, right? It's like, what?
I just started keeping flip-flops in my trunk just in case.
Just in case, yeah. I do too. I've got a couple pairs of shoes, in the car or whatever, sandals. But you almost have to. But that nature really helps you completely balance. I can remember, about 10 years ago, I did a lot of snowmobiling in Colorado.
Fun.
And so what we did, we snowmobiled hot and heavy from like 8 o'clock in the morning until noon, 1 o'clock. And then we went back, into town and we had lunch and whatever. Then we went to the hot springs. Woo!
Nice.
Right? So now you're in the hot springs because we're up in the mountains. We're up in the Rocky Mountains. And we go to the hot springs in Hot Springs, Colorado. Okay. It's a beautiful place. They have so many different natural springs that you can
Sounds
go
amazing.
to. So we jump in the hot water, right? And then when you're done, you jump out, you talk about touching nature. You lay down in the snow and you roll in the snow, right? And then you jump back in the hot water again, right?
Yep.
But it is so refreshing because it opens up your cells. And it creates really, really healthy cells, right? And the first time I did this, the friend that I was snowmobiling with, I said, I'm going to do this. He says, you're crazy. I said, I know. And so I did it, and it was so funny. All of a sudden, we've got people like crazy jumping out, rolling in the snow, jumping back in. And they're
For
like,
sure.
how refreshing,
I love it.
But it really is. You do that 2 or 3 times. Now, if you don't have a snowbank to roll in and a hot tub to jump into, you can do this in your shower. Right? So you turn up the heat, then you turn it down, and try to, the cold is going to be worse than the heat, right? But you turn it down, and then you just keep getting a little bit colder each time, and just rinse off with that. Then go back up to the hot. Then go back down to the cold.
Right.
So you do that about 3 times. Go to the hot and then back down to the cold. And you finish with the cold. It's going to reinvigorate your cells. They're going to come to life. They're going to be more open to nutrients coming into them through the foods that you eat.
Yeah.
It really makes a huge difference. Your skin is going to feel different.
For sure.
So there's so many little things that we can do that we forget the simplicity of life because it's like, well, if it's not hard and it's not complicated, it must not work. Well, not so much, right?
Not so much. That's right. Yeah, and I'm a big fan of hot and cold therapy. And I'll tell you, it's funny that you tell that story because actually, just last month, I was having some pain in my shoulder. And I was like, this one is just lingering and I'm really meditating on it and working through what is going on with this shoulder. And I said, you know what, I'm going to go hot and cold therapy. And we turned on the hot tub because it's winter time. It gets down into mid 40s here at night. So
we were 3 yesterday.
Ooh, yeah. So your pool's a little colder than mine.
Oh yeah.
But makes the pool water obviously very, very cold. And so that's how we do it is we've got the hot tub. So we hot tub into the cold and it's 2 minutes, for each round. And it's amazing how I walked out of that. And again, I was very intentional. I was like, I believe this is what I need to do for my body. Sure enough, shoulder pain went away, hasn't come back.
There you go.
I just laughed and I said, sometimes it's that simple. I didn't have to go to some doctor. I didn't have to get crazy.
Exactly.
And surgery. There was none of that. It was like, the healing part was so simple when it was just so intentional and using, nature and therapies that are available. So
and it is, and that's what has been put here for us, right? It's not a man-made something. It's nature. It's God manifest.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
There's a spa in Bozeman, Montana, that is always so much fun to go to because they have one pool outside. It's just this big swimming pool, but inside they have, I think, almost like 15 different settings of temperatures. And then they have what they call their Amazon room, which is a rainforest. It's a rainforest, and it's literally falling water, along the sides and dripping on you, and it's warm in there. It's hot. And then they have an ion shower you can stand under to rinse off. Oh, it's like being in heaven.
Yeah.
And oh my gosh, they had this one pool in there that was called the ice pool. And it was next to the hottest pool, right? So you could just like slither out of one and into the other, right?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I'll tell you, that cold pool was colder than rolling in the snowbank. I am not joking. The first time I did that, it was like, it's like I just like instantly froze. It's like, get me out of here, somebody.
And I'm sure not quite as fun as rolling around in the snow either.
I know. I'll tell you, that was an eye-opener. It's like, okay, that was a little too much for me. Okay.
I love it.
I've done what they call Russian banyas. Have you ever heard of a Russian banya?
I have never heard of that.
Oh my
Tell me what that
goodness.
is.
We talk about hot and cold. I love this. I love this sharing. So the Russian banya, the first place I went to, that was here in Colorado. And what they did is it was designed during the war, and the troops were out there in the tundra. Okay, and they had one uniform, the same uniform for summer as for winter, right? And they're extremes. So basically what they did, and it was for men, it wasn't for the women, it was for men, and that's what they called the banya, and they were trained with that. So they would do the hot and cold, but they would take the leaves from the oak tree, right? So they'd break off some of the little branches.
Wow.
And what you do is you go into this sauna, this super hot sauna, and you start to get your sweat on. Then they come in with olive oil and what was the other thing they used? They had something in the olive oil. I think they had some essential oils or something in there. But they would come in and they would smear it all over your body, and just kind of work it in and just let it go, right? Because it was for the detoxing. So it would lift the toxins up out of your body. Right? And then what they would do is once they got it all over you, they would take these oak leaf branches and they would, right? Because it would stimulate the skin.
Oh, okay. Kind of like
they were
body brushes.
Yeah, they weren't beating you, but they were just enough to stimulate, right? So they would do that for probably 5-7 minutes, right?
Okay.
Felt so good.
Amazing.
And
that
then
was amazing.
And then they'd leave you in there for maybe another 10-15 minutes. Then they come and get you. Now you have to remember you're stark naked, okay?
Right.
And they walk you outside, and they take these buckets of cold water
and throw them on you. Oh my gosh. You just had this relaxing, like rub down and a little, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh.
Oh my gosh. But what's so funny is I did the banyas in the wintertime and I did the banyas in the summertime. The cold water in the summertime was colder than the cold water in the wintertime. How crazy is that? I think maybe because the outside temperature, so your body adjusted immediately.
Your body's going, bah.
So then they take you back in, and then they flip you and do that on the other side, and then again, now you walk outside and,
I love it.
And then you come back in and they give you a 1-hour deep massage.
Oh, and then you get another massage. I like it.
Yeah.
I like this.
And then and then one more splash of cold, right? And it's so amazing what it does. And the gentleman who was the father, who had spent a lot of time doing banya from little up, right? Him and his son looked like twins. His son was 21.
Wow.
And they looked like twins.
Wow.
But he was in his 60s.
Amazing. I bet his cellular health was just
incredible. My gosh, it was. And so you look at, so now we met the woman, the wife, who was also in her 60s, and she had the appearance of it. Again, because in the culture, it was designed for men only.
Got it.
Right? But that, right there really gave me another honoring of deeper understanding. Again, you look at that science of how that hot and cold really does make a difference
For sure.
on your body.
Yes. Yes, it does. And not just on your body, but on your mind.
Oh,
Think about the,
yes.
because you have to psych yourself up a little bit because you know what's coming, right? You know, once you get out of that hot, the hot's pretty bearable. I think all of us, we can handle that. You rarely hear anyone like, oh, the hot was too hot. You never hear that. What you hear is the anticipation of the cold, especially after going to a hot extreme. And I think that's the part. There's a little bit of anticipation. But there's also, once you've done it and you know the benefits of it and you know the effects of it, then I think that's where it's just like breaking through any barrier that we have or any fear or any phobia we have, right? It's so scary, the anticipation of the thing, or it's exciting, or insert any, thing that's going to make you pause for a moment.
Right.
But then you do the thing and you realize how amazing it feels or how good it is for you. And then you go, oh, like, this is okay. Everything I wanted was on the other side of the
other side.
It's the same thing in our mind. And I love that hot, cold example because it's so true in our bodies, physically actually happening at a cellular level, as well as with our mind and just the strength for us to go, wow, I can do anything I set my mind to, and I can come out of the other side and go, oh, I love this. Yeah. Like this thing I feared for so long that I wouldn't do. Now I'm willing to dive in and go. And I think that's part of that lesson, it's like, hey, sometimes we're a little scared. Sometimes we have to be a little more brave, but we do it anyway. Right. And once we come out the other side, it feels so good.
Well, you look at, all the different cultures, they jump in the ice lakes and stuff like that, right? And these are the reasons why they do those things. But again, if you do it consistently, it's like anything in life. If you do it consistently, your body acclimates and adjusts so that when you don't do it, it's saying, aren't we missing something here? Right?
Right. That's right. Yeah, absolutely. It was really funny. I had a friend, I had posted up a picture and he said, oh, he's like, how old is this photo? And I was like, it's today old. He goes, okay, Benjamin Button. He's like, you are like reverse aging. And I was like, well, there's all these amazing things that I'm doing for myself that I wasn't doing in my 20s and 30s because I didn't know better. And I was like, so part of that is, the reason. And I was like, take care of our bodies will take care of us.
Oh, very well said. Very, very well said. And it's never too late to start.
That's right.
You say, oh, well, I'm 60, I'm 70, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. It's all up here. It's all up here. This is the most dangerous 6 inches on the planet.
Amen to that.
Right? What the mind can conceive and believe,
it can achieve.
There you go.
It. Yes, good old Napoleon Hill.
Yeah, I'll tell you, there's so many wise comments, and statements out there. When you actually start listening to, these things that you hear, don't just listen to them. Bring them to life in who you are. There's a reason why they make an impact. There's a reason why those statements have stayed around for all these years.
So
right?
true. Yeah, they're universal truths. And sometimes people go, oh, that's cliche. It's like, no, it's a universal truth. Yeah. That's why people keep using it. And because when you really sit and think about it, you can go, wow, there's so much truth to that. Right. And you get to choose your reality in that sense.
Oh, I love that word. Choose your reality.
Your line of work, you literally get to choose your reality.
You can think it, we can create it for you,
That's
right?
That's right.
I did a talk. I was in a summit here a few weeks ago, and I did a talk on reality, the different interpretations, the perceptions of reality, right? So what is a reality? Mary, let me ask you this. How many times do you move into a different reality? Now, you mentioned that you do meditation. You mentioned that you walk in nature. You probably have vision boards. So where is the reality of true reality? Because isn't reality what you create up here, what your thoughts are, what your dreams are, what your visions are, what you pretend is?
Absolutely.
Right? And so,
100%, Beverly. That's exactly. It is literally our stories that we tell ourselves. They are our truths until we make a decision to change them.
right.
And there's so many times where I watch people suffering through a story that they've told themselves, but
Right.
they're actually able to change at any time. And it also goes back to like how there's a great picture that's running around the internet. It's been running around forever, and it's got the little kitten in front of the mirror.
Oh,
But
yes.
the kitten sees itself as a lion,
Yeah.
right? And then there's vice versa. There's the lion that's looking in the mirror that's seeing itself as a kitten. So it's like, well, which one are you?
Yeah.
Right? And depending on the day, you might be the kitten or you might be the lion. But that's up to us to really
Right.
to dive in. And that's why you get those people that you hear these amazing stories of, people who are resilient, people who don't take no for an answer, people who say, hey, that's okay if 100 people tell me no. I just need to get to that one person that's going to tell me yes.
Yes.
So that's where we talk about the reality or the truth of something. It's like, what's your truth and what's your reality?
Yeah.
Because you actually do have the ability to make it whatever it is. I had to go through breast cancer. So I could have chosen to be like, okay, I'm going to fold up and this is done. Or I can say, oh no, I am coming alive and I'm giving myself even more reason to lean into purpose and to lean into happiness and to lean into living my best life.
Right. That wasn't an option for you. This dysfunction in the body was not an option. What dysfunctions are in your thought processing that aren't an option? If you don't like the story, change it.
Change
If
it.
you don't like the channel, turn it. If you don't like the freaking TV, shut it off.
That's right. Yeah. One of the best things I do for myself is actually to not watch the news. Like whatever news is that important is going to get to me. For sure.
That's the way I look at it.
Yeah.
I have not owned a TV in 25 years. And I don't miss it.
Good for you. Good for you. Yeah, I know. People are always like, oh, did you watch the most recent blah? And I'm like, no.
Not relevant to my life.
I haven't.
Does that story you're going to share with me help me to become a better human?
Right.
Well, I never looked at it that way. Then I don't want to hear it. Right? Again, it's what you play on and it's what you feed. It's like I love the Cherokee story about the little boy who has these two wolves inside of him, right? The one little big bad wolf is telling him to go over here and do all this, get in trouble and all that kind of stuff. And then the good wolf is saying, no, you want to do this and da-da-da-da-da-da, right? And he's torn which way to go because it looks like more fun and excitement over here with the big bad wolf versus, I'm floating over here in a cloud. Where's the medium, right? And so he's torn as to which way to go, what's right, what's wrong, what's happening. So he goes to the chief and he tells him, he asks him, I don't know who's going to win. I don't know who I'm going to be. I don't know what to do here. Do I go this way? Do I go that way? What happens? Who wins here? Right? And the chief looks at the little boy and he says, the one you feed will win and take over. Whoa! I have never forgotten that story because it's so true. Are you feeding your fears? Or are you feeding your truth?
That's right.
Right? So when you, are you feeding that old outdated story?
Right.
Or are you going to feed a new story?
Right. That's right.
That's a decision. It goes beyond a choice. You have the decision. And Wayne Dyer says, don't die with your story in you. It's when you begin to speak your story
Mm-hmm.
and share it, all of a sudden it gives you a different empowerment. And it's like, okay, you know what? I can use this story to grow with, learn the lessons. And it's like, I don't have to have that story run my life anymore.
That's right.
Oh my goodness.
That's right.
Now I can make, okay, what's my destiny here? Yeah, okay, what do I want?
Change
Change
your story,
your
change your life.
reality.
Yes, change your story, change your life. Absolutely.
Yes.
I love that.
Yeah. You know, it's interesting how life goes and how life brings people together. And Mary, how we came together to be on this show. We had no idea who each other is or was, but all of a sudden I feel a much stronger connection because there's so much similarities in our life. But just as a human, we are all connected.
Absolutely.
You know-
Absolutely. We are spiritual beings having this human experience, and we are so connected.
Right.
In ways that I think that once this chapter of this world that we know right now, when we go into whatever is next, I think our consciousness will be opened even more, and we'll see how even more connected we are.
You know, I think you're right there. I agree so 100%. It's like last year gave us an opportunity to stop, not slow down, but just stop. Stop now and really take a look at who you are, what you are, why you are, where you are, you know, and start making some decisions and responsibilities and get resilient. You don't have to follow all the fear and the makeup stuff. It's like, what is your reality, and start to create that. Right. And we know things will never go back the way they were, which is a great lesson. That when you look at your past, if your past is ruling your present, your future is going to look exactly like that. Right? So let's learn this major lesson here is to what's gone before us is a learning process to be in the now, to take charge of what it is, of who you are, where you want to be, where you want to go, so that what comes after us is going to be greater than what went before us.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, if there was ever a time, and I even think of it from a very like global perspective, like just think about like how like our oceans are cleaner, how dolphins are resurfacing in places that they hadn't been before, and just how like cleaner the air is. Like even from that standpoint, I was like, maybe this is a thing. Like maybe we should all take a year off every, I don't know, 7 years, 10 years, whatever it is.
Right.
And maybe that's what it should be. Like that there should be a year of rest, like in this way, well, in a way that feels good. This was obviously driven from, you know,
it was kind of a major shock, you know.
Yes, exactly. But like, how do we do this in a healthy way? Because you got to see that there actually have been some really amazing positive side effects from it. And I think innovatively, right? It forces us as a society to say, wow, how do we innovate forward? And how do we just make some adjustments? And how can we get comfortable with those adjustments, right? Because we've all had to make adjustments. Most of us are required to, you know, wear a mask going into the store. It's the requirement. It's okay, it's an adjustment. So we make that adjustment and we go, okay, you know what? It's not the worst thing in the world. It's what we just had to do for this moment to get into the store to do the thing. And we didn't, you know, experience pain in our face for that. Like, it's like, okay, how do we move through this, right? How do we move through some of these things? And so I think it's going to be amazing to see what 2021 and beyond bring us from a technology standpoint, from an emotional, spiritual standpoint. And I hope that above all else, that people have the opportunity to reflect on what they are grateful for, and for the things that they might have thought were like so bad in the past,
Right.
that they were like, ooh, I long for that now a little bit. Like they can see
Yes.
it wasn't that bad. And then I wish that for people that they have stronger relationships, and that there's the tools out in the world that will come to them and will show up, and businesses that will show up that are going to be here to really help people with the emotional side of things, because I feel like there's so much healing that can happen during this space.
Oh, very well said. I'm right beside you on that, right beside you,
love that.
because it is about healing, and it's healing the world. It's not about the little space that you're in. It's not about,
Right.
healing Colorado. It's not about healing California. It's about healing the globe, and
That's right.
the unity and the connectedness. We've had the experience of really being separated.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's begin to really feel connected. And there's ways of coming back into that connectedness where you feel again that it is a reality of one. We're all one. We all came from the same design.
Mm-hmm.
So let's start really living that. And one thing that I can say this show, because I started this show prior to the pandemic last year, what I can honestly say is doing this show has really opened up so many doors. And I have met so many amazing people come across my path, that my life has just grown so much that I never in my wildest dreams, I kind of did it on a dare to myself. Right? Seriously, it's like, because I've been in the face of the camera a lot, and I've done shows before, I've done Facebook Lives, I've done all that, and it's like I want to get serious. I want to do a structured. I want to have an intro and an outro, and I want to interview people, all this stuff, right? It's like, I know I can do this. Boy, did I. But I didn't know it was going to explode like it did. It was like, wow. I tell you, when I started and I, made sure all the technology stuff was working, it's like, okay, had a week of that. It's good to go. I put a little plaque up in one of the big rooms that I deal with. And I said, started my show looking for motivational speakers. I had 300 people like, whoo!
I bet.
It's like, wow.
Like, let me be more specific next time. I don't know.
But out of that, I have built lasting friendships and relationships with a lot of these people that I still connect with, and now going into the different level of everything that's happening with life and putting them into the virtual reality worlds and into, the lessons we've all learned in the collaboration, coming off of this book collaboration I had an opportunity to be in, and it was Boss Up for Health and Wellness, right? We became a number one, which is nice, but at the same time, the 16 authors that were there and the summit made a 360-degree turn in how I present myself to the world again. It's just like so much growth, and I love it, because I'm all about how do I become that better me? Just like Mary. How does Mary become that better me? And your experience recovering from, and beating, breast cancer and getting on, from that moment forward, it was a wake-up call to say, whoa, that's not an option. Man, I better start figuring out what my options are, and here we go, right?
That's right.
And don't get stuck in that comfort zone.
Right.
The predictability world, because there's nothing predictable anymore, is there?
There isn't. I think that there's this idea of control, right? that people have, and it's so funny, because I just laugh and I was like, yeah, that's such an illusion. And I'm very comfortable with the unknown and with sometimes not knowing. There's just going to be certain things that happen.
That's the adventure.
You just don't get to know. That's right. That's the adventure.
Yeah.
And that's okay. And it's like, sometimes it's the pieces and just surrendering to that.
Yeah.
It's surrendering to the fact that we really don't have control. You know,
No, you don't.
Our best is to make our most intentional choices that we can and move forward,
Right.
but also leaving room for the unknown to come in. And sometimes it's crazy. Other times it's beautiful. I know I tell people all the time that I look back on my life, even with going through breast cancer, even with the trials and tribulations that I've had to go through in life. And I say, I don't know that I would change anything. It's a beautiful life that I could have never even dreamt up
Right.
myself, for some of the places I've been and people I've met and the relationships that I have. And I said, we have so much more compassion for each other when we really do see each other as one, right? We have so much more compassion versus seeing someone, objectifying them as something different. It's
Right.
like when we're one, we're very compassionate and we have so much more care for each other and for ourselves.
Exactly. It's that growth and that experience that you have, and when you can experience it with someone else, it just makes it even better. And it's honoring. It's all about honoring who you are to honor the other person. And someone else's choices may not be yours. It might not be right for you, but hey, honor it because it's their choice.
That's right.
Yeah, regardless of what that is. And sometimes it can be tough, especially if it's someone that you care for. It's like, oh, you're doing it all wrong.
Right.
Well,
right.
are they doing
Yes.
it wrong?
That's right. Yes. Ooh, that's such good for pondering. I know. It's so true. It's so true. Yeah. And I think about how, especially I think from the seat of parents, right? Like usually our parents are trying to save us from the thing that they didn't have or did have. And it's like, well, but because your life was harder, because you had to walk to school, like there might have been
uphill both ways, right?
Exactly. Yeah, through the snow, exactly. But maybe that built some resilience in you. Maybe that built some, discipline in you that you would not have had otherwise. And so do we rob someone of those experiences if we don't let them fall forward, if we don't let them make some mistakes, if we don't, if we aren't always rescuing them from the thing that we think is so bad, and it's like, we all have our own experience, and we all, it's good to go through the thing, experience the thing.
That's right.
Most of the things aren't going to kill us. So do the thing.
Exactly. And it's, there's that guidance and direction, but you have to leave the options open. I used to, I tell my kids, they'd be talking about, there's different things, right? And they would always say, yeah, but they said, I said, who's they? Oh, they hated that, right? Who's they?
No.
Who are they, right?
That's right.
So I wanted them to become, in their own right, to pay attention to their own instincts and not follow everything that's gone out there. And it's like, you have choices that you can make. You can make a decision to do or to not to do. Learn from other people's mistakes. But I'm going to tell you this. Regardless of what it is, just become aware of and ask yourself, do I need this experience or can I learn from someone else? Just because you do it doesn't mean the outcome will be different. Because if you get in a car and you're driving at 70 miles an hour and you crash it into that brick wall, it doesn't matter who's behind the wheel, the outcome's the same. So, every choice that you make, you're behind the wheel. Now you have to ask yourself, is this the experience you want to have? Then go ahead and take it. Or make your adjustments in accordance to.
That's right. Absolutely. My nephew, when he was young, like 10, I remember we were running through the mall and he sees the escalators. And as kids, what do we love to do? We love to go up the down escalator. We want to go down the up escalator. It's there. I don't know who the escalator gods are, but it's like they knew. It looks like a toy. We're kids. That's what we're going to do. And my nephew comes to me and he says, Aunt Mary, he goes, can I go up that escalator? And he goes, the one that's going down. And I was like, well, I said, let's think about this. I was like, what are the things that could happen? Like what's the worst case? What's the best case? He was like, worst case, you could get hurt, right? I said, best case, you do it. It's fun. No one cares. I said, what's the likelihood of you actually getting hurt doing it? And then, okay, maybe worst case scenario is the security guard comes over and tells you to get off the thing, right? And so we're working through, like, we're doing the reasoning thinking here,
right?
Because I want him to actually make the decision for himself.
Right, know what the options are,
yes,
and then have the adventure.
That's right. And so he goes, okay. And then he runs over the escalator and he goes up and he comes back down and he's like, all good here, Aunt Mary. I said, okay, good for you. And it's like, at the end of the day, like, that's what's most important is that he actually think for himself and then make a decision.
Well, he knew where the cautions were, so he knew worst scenario, best scenario.
Right.
So now he could make it the scenario that he chose. So for him, getting hurt on here was not an option.
Right.
Having the guard come over and tell him to get off of there was not an option. Right. The option was to start here and go there.
That's right.
And that's what he did. Yeah. I love that. I think that's amazing.
And if he got a little scolding out of it from the security guard, then that was okay, And that's
you do and ask forgiveness later, right?
That's right. That's right. That's right. Exactly.
See, now you know where I would have been? I would have said, yeah, but only if I can go with you.
I love that. I love that so much.
Oh my gosh, I used to do things with my kids, and then with my grandkids, and now with the great grandkids. It is so much fun because you're doing these things because it's safe, but you're giving them experiences that their parents wouldn't give them.
Right.
It's like
because saving them from everything.
I know. It's like, hey, you want to do this? Yeah. Okay, let's go. Right?
Yes.
But they trust me because they know that I won't do harm. They know that when they're with Grandma, there's going to be something else going on. Yeah. We don't want to know about it. Just bring them back in one piece.
There you go.
But it also helps me to stay in that childlike being, that energy, because when we lose that, I guess that's probably why I stayed short. I would never have to grow up, so I don't have to act like those guys over there do, right?
Yes.
So.
I'm a firm believer that when we play fully, we live fully.
Yes.
And getting back to that childlike state is so important. I think that it's so funny. One of my friends was complaining about her husband, and she's like, he can be such a kid sometimes. And I was like, that's fantastic. Like, maybe that's where if I ever catch myself thinking that about, my husband, I definitely stop myself and I'm like, where am I not playing enough?
That's right.
Where
yes.
is my, resolve to enjoy, when did I get so serious? And so it's just really taking that step back and being like, no, there's a whole playground here called planet Earth. Yes. And there's so many amazing things to see and do and people to connect with.
Yeah, so get out of what you already did. Right. Get into the adventure.
Yes, and get into the adventure because there's such an adventure out there.
Yes.
And it's there for anybody. You just have to be willing to go for it.
Again, it's what? It's a decision.
That's right.
To do or not to do.
Or you tell
that is the question. Oh, Mary, this has been such a delight and a treat. Thank you for sharing everything that you did here today. So if people want to get a hold of you, how do they find you?
Very easy. They can just go to my URL, which is my name. So it's www.marydee.com.
That's pretty simple.
Very simple. And they can find me there. All my social media handles are the same. It's The Mary D. So it's, LinkedIn, The Mary D, Twitter, The Mary D, Instagram, The Mary D, Clubhouse, Facebook, you name it. I'm super consistent. The Mary D.
The one and only Mary D. And you met her today on the Beverly Zeimet Show. How awesome was that?
Yes, thank you for having me, Beverly. You are a beautiful soul. I love what you're doing in the world, and I appreciate you so much.
Oh, likewise, because you can't do it alone. And thank you so much for joining us here. It's now time to say, go out there, be the best you that you can be, because Mary and I, we're going to be the best we that we can be. And we'll see all of you on another show.